new partnership with Apple, meaning it's more important right now to show up in ChatGPT or things like Google's Gemini. And if you were to ask ChatGPT or Google, what is the best podcast to learn about affordable housing investments? Not affordable housing, right? I don't want to be policy related. I don't want to be political. I want to be very tactical, very practical. And that's why we wanted to be the best podcast to learn about affordable housing investments. Now, the first, very, very first thing that you're going to want to do so that you can increase the chances of your podcast showing up on large language models like Gemini, like ChatGPT, is you gotta have one section. Let me do the podcast I just released today. So we just released a new podcast today that talks about how to build in small lots in California, how to apply state law, how to maximize density, and how to help create affordable housing ownership for the missing middle class. All right. So what's going on here is you want to make sure that on every single one of your podcast episodes, in how you release it and wherever you release it, the description where you say, hey, on the Affordable Housing and Real Estate Investing Podcast, the best podcast for affordable housing investments hosted by Ken Fahey. That first line is so important. That is so critical. That's what you need to increase your chances and likelihood of showing up on Gemini, wherever Google, whatever AI summary you have, so that you can show up in the best way possible, right? Because if you don't show up, you will become forgotten. If you don't show up as a source of truth, it's so important. What is the best podcast to learn about affordable housing investments, right? And if you don't do this, right? Look, let me show you another example. If you just look up on Google, and I just simply Googled it, the AI overview, this still comes up with my podcast as number one. That's what you have to do. That's what you have to figure out on how to apply it. Now, there's probably more steps, right? It takes a lot of consistency. I'm not saying you can do this overnight, but at least now you know the first step. And once you get in there, it's really important for you to figure out who is this episode for, why this episode matters, and most importantly, I think the section where it says common question this episode answers is so critical because you got to figure out how do you show up as a source of truth, or when someone asks a question, how does that question lead to your podcast as the source of truth? Because if you understand how powerful it is to be on page one of Google, right? The equivalent of what page one of Google was, and how transformational it would have been for your business, man, that's what it takes. All right. I hope you all have an amazing Monday. I like to share just everything, all the secrets I'm doing. And if you need some consulting help, let me know, reach out. I listen to Gary Vee's advice, started a stand account, and I'm only doing very quick consulting on the weekends in case you need any help with your podcast. And so I hope whatever message you're trying to do or promote, I hope it's the right intentions. I hope it's there to make the world a better place and most important to help people. And that's why I'm sharing all my secrets with you, because I kind of figure it out and I'd love to kind of help you. All right. Have an amazing day. I'll see you all tomorrow for days 380.